What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus, and welcome to the Save Point Podcast, episode 2. I guess we got to start numbering them. Last week was the relaunch, episode 1. Technically, this is the second episode, and we're going to be talking about Christmas games as the centralized topic. You know, our favorite ones. Why aren't there more of them is kind of a personal grudge I have against the industry. I think there should be more Christmas games. But, of course, I'm joined by my co-host Sway over there, and pleasure to have him. And we're going to start, and we're going to try to maybe make this a regular thing, just kind of talking about the week that we've had, whether it be news or new games, new movies even, what we've been up to. So how's it going, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Still getting through Midnight Suns and Callisto Protocol.
I've seen other people say that for like trying to go through Callisto. You know, Callisto, if you just go straight through it, I mean, it's only like like an
10
eight.
hours roughly.
Yeah, it's like 8
8 hours,
hours.
10
Yeah,
hours.
Midnight Suns just never ends though. It never.
Yeah, I'm getting that impression.
Yeah,
I'm taking that with me on the go. So it's like I feel like I've scratched the surface barely.
yeah.
So
Have you attempted any? Well, we're recording this on Thursday, so and every week may be a little bit different when we're recording to when you guys see it. Obviously, High on Life, Crisis Core, and Witcher all came out. Have you tried any of them, or do you plan on trying any of them?
Witcher, I'm probably gonna get into later tonight. I'm going to
Nice.
try a little bit of that. That's probably what's keeping me back because I'm keep trying new things. And then like I just got in a Street Fighter beta, so then there's
Oh yes,
that.
yes.
So I'm like,
Yep. Yeah.
that's gonna tie up 3 days right there. So
I downloaded the Witcher update, and my wife's gonna play it through. But it's tough because like I have Crisis Core. They gave me a code. They gave me a code the day of though, so it's not like I got it like early to like try to beat it before other things came out. I got it the day of, so I'm making my way through that, and then Witcher. And you know, my wife wants to play it, and it's like, yeah, but that's gonna take you like 90 hours, and I need the PS5 because I need to play Crisis Core. But there's also High on Life on the Xbox, so I may maybe plug it in somewhere else. But I've done those two, Crisis Core and Crisis Core. I'm like 6 hours. High on Life, I've only done like the first two that day. I don't know. High on Life is tough because you see like Twitter is the worst place in the world for a game like High on
yes,
Life. Like, I mean, maybe
yes.
it's the worst place in the world generally, but it's also the worst place in the world for High on Life because just the comedy, like you just have people on both sides and they're almost like both equally annoying, where they think the game is like the greatest comedic masterpiece of all time, and then they think everything about it is like cringe, and there's no like in the middle.
In between.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so Twitter is really bad with High on Life, but it's okay. I honestly don't love it. I don't hate it. It's like right in the middle for me. But
Yeah, I think that's one of those games where I'm definitely gonna give it a try. I got Game Pass, so
yeah,
I'm gonna just
and that's the thing.
definitely.
Like it's a $60 game. I think if you don't like if you buy it, I don't
Mhm.
think I'd recommend people paying the six. If you have
Right.
Game Pass, you know you're only losing time if it's bad. So yeah, for
Can't go
sure.
wrong with it.
Yeah,
And like I said, like people, if you enjoy a game, that's
yeah,
all that matters.
yeah. And it does seem like more people like although it's split on Twitter, it does seem like more people definitely like it. I think there's more of like the it's amazing and all that stuff. And I don't know, the constant talking, like the guns and knives never shut up. And you can actually it is cool because you can turn it like off or down and how much they talk. Because they just keep going. It's
That's
like
neat.
never ending. They're talking to you, but they do some really clever stuff with jokes. And I think one of the achievement names is like Fallout doesn't let you do this, or like there's some really clever comedy. Like I was talking to a guy, and you know how like in games you talk to people and then you get bored and you just walk away. I was talking to it. You walk up, you press it. The guy starts talking, and I walked away because I was like, I don't care. I walked away, and he's like, oh, you know, I was still talking, right? And I was just gone. And it's like those are very clever gaming things. Like the meta, it's like aware of itself. So I definitely appreciate some of the comedy. It's just the over the top, nonstop swear. Not that like I'm like I don't swear. I'm not like anti swearing though. I don't think it's like cringe or anything. But I mean, it's just nonstop. And I don't think like
Wow.
saying the F word like 5 times a sentence makes something funny. You know what I mean? I'm not like one of those people. So it's tough. It's tough. But I hope to do videos on it. The issue is with all of these games at this exact same time, I can't really cover any of them because I can't finish any of them. But how far are you
Same
in,
same
in
thing with
Midnight
Reds.
Suns?
Midnight Suns. I've been doing. a lot of the, I'm gonna say like the like the
That's what
side
I yeah.
content. I've been knocking those out
Yeah.
more, and I've been exploring like the Abbey. So like I want to say that I'm early on. Like I got Spider-Man already. Like I just went to New York to save Spider-Man,
Yes.
and that's pretty much where I'm at. But like I've done so many things in the Abbey
Yeah.
already, like
Same.
so much. And so between that, exploring the grounds, unlocking new portions of the grounds, building like the I did not expect to like the RPG elements of this game as much as I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's pretty much where I've been. And then Callisto Protocol, I think the last thing I did was went down the giant little sewer slide that you go down.
Oh yeah.
I'm a little bit
That's
after that.
that's still like probably a third in. I think you still
Yeah.
got a little more than half. Yeah, Midnight Suns is actually insane how addicting it is, and I thought I'd like the card stuff, and I thought I'd like it. I love it. I thought the Abby stuff would kind of be not so good at all. I love it. Like it's actually the
Same.
only thing I don't like is the like there's so much dialogue. And you can
Yes.
make it more dialogue by picking more options. I'll read it because I do subtitles for like everything. I'll read it and I'll just skip. Like I'm not gonna sit there for hours like listening to them talk. Even the voice acting is pretty okay, but I have no interest. There's so much talking in that game. But
So
like you
much.
said, like the RPG elements of the Abbey, like picking the decisions that give you things with heroes and giving them compliments and working on the friendship levels and every day like you look at your coils, you go to the forge and stuff like that repetitive stuff, but that's very important to the combat. I'm so addicted to it, and I didn't expect, like I thought that would be such an afterthought and not important, and it's very important. I also think it was well done. It's I would call it probably the most surprising game of the year because it's not my game of the year, but if I were to make a list, it would be super close to like top three,
Yes.
four, and I didn't think it was going to be in that territory.
And I love hearing that because I'm hoping that I've from what I've seen, it seems like a lot of people that have actually given it a try feel the same
Yeah,
way. And
yeah,
I'm hoping that this expands like the fan base for that genre in general.
yeah.
But also that would require other developers to be able to
And
execute it
it's
the way that
really
they
only them
executed it.
too. Like I think
Yeah.
it's them and there's like one other, or it's like a spin-off. I mean, they know, credit to Firaxis, like they know how to, and I
Hmm.
like make the next XCOM game after this now. Like they know how to
Yes.
do it, and I think people kind of forgot, like, yeah, it's cards, but like the strategy element and how everything is just so perfectly balanced, and you can have all these different teams and they all will work so differently, but they will work. Like very few, in fact, they really only them could do it. I don't even know if
Yep.
anybody else could do it. So, yeah, it's actually insane. It really, like, I'm
That's
very
why they're at the
happy for
top.
that game. Yeah, yeah,
That's the only I'd say team that 2K owns, other than Rocksteady, that I would say that is very, very competent
yeah,
at what they
yeah,
do.
yeah. So let's get into the. That was fun. That was a good. I think we should try to keep that every week. We're trying to like review ourselves as during the shows. So, what do you think about Christmas games like in general? So like I said, like I just don't think there's enough of them. When we were talking about this topic, you had mentioned like, well, what is a Christmas game? Like, is part of a game that happens to be Christmas, does that count? I think that's part of the issue is that those are most of the games. So
Yep.
like, compared to like horror, and there are Halloween games like Costume Quest. I love Costume Quest, and that's a great Halloween literal game. But what do you think about just the idea of like a Christmas theme in gaming?
It's it's almost non-existent.
Yeah.
It really is. We don't have it's none that I can think of off the top of my head where it's a full-blown Christmas game. But like you said, most of the games that are like they're Christmas themed. So
Yeah.
like you got Arkham Origins,
Yes.
and like you can feel the Christmas atmosphere
Yeah.
through the entire game.
Yeah.
You got Christmas trees. You got the score that is like a Christmas version of the Arkham theme.
Yeah.
Um, it even changes the dialogue for everyone.
Right.
They're always the jokes they crack are like holiday themed
Yeah.
jokes.
Yeah.
The Joker was really good for those. You got some of the gameplay elements that were like, remember there was a portion where you're going through the hotel and There's like balloons and Christmas boxes that you got to get through and things of
Yeah.
that nature. And just it really can change the overall dynamic
Yeah.
of how the entire game feels. Like atmosphere, environment, score, dialogue, everything. And I'm just like, why not do more of it?
Yeah.
Like technically Hogwarts Legacy, it has Christmas in there.
Hogwarts will be one of the closer. Miles is one where I
Yep,
think you
Miles is
can
one.
feel the city. I think maybe more than any other game to me, but it also
Yes.
doesn't like but like you said, like it's not centered around Christmas. And I think as you're swinging through the streets and stuff, you can feel it because it's kind of everywhere. And and even what I think the first mission you go through with, you go through like the mall or whatever, and there is entirely Christmas themed stuff. So I definitely like that. But then really, and I really tried to think over, last night and then today, I can't think of like Kingdom Hearts 2 has, I think, Christmas Town in it. So I don't know if you consider Kingdom Hearts 2 a Christmas game, but like I don't know how many other games have Christmas that there's like winter elements, or even like
Yep.
maybe like one of the most Christmassy games would be like Club Penguin because of just
Yeah.
it's just fully winter, you know. You'd have to think about games that are just solely in the winter. There's one, oh god, like the truck simulators or like the train simulators. Like there's one where you're a trucker, and I think a large portion of it is in the snow, and you're always having to go up against the elements. Like those are the closest I can remember or think of off the top of my head.
Grand Theft Auto tries every winter. They try
Yeah,
every
yeah.
winter
But like you
too.
said, Hogwarts,
Um,
I do
yeah.
think once we get it, because the Christmas and winter theme
Season.
will be 1/4
Hmm.
of the game. That's more than Kingdom Hearts. That's more than
Yep.
any of the ones that have Christmas elements, but not Origin. I think Origins and Miles would be like the number 1 and 2. Um,
Two.
but Hogwarts could be the most. That one could feel the most like Christmas too, because they talk about
Yes.
decorations and stuff. So you're walking around the school, and hopefully there's a Christmas tree in the Great Hall and all that stuff. Like I really think they'll do well, but not enough. Not enough. I agree with you.
Not nearly. And like it. So just like you are, I think you love watering games,
I
right?
love it.
And
It's my favorite.
that's exactly how I am with snow in
Oh,
games.
okay. Well,
I
they're very
love
closely linked. So,
yes. I love snow in games. Like Red Dead, I first like when I first got it, like the
yeah.
first mission, like I'm just sitting there like moving around in the snow, like testing how deep it
Yeah.
goes, and that was just me. So it's just like I would prefer as like a person who is like Christmas is like their favorite holiday, and I'm a
Same.
very festive person. I'm surprised that it's just not enough. I mean, you could sell a lot
Yeah.
on just Christmas.
I
So
agree.
like,
What genre of game? Let's take it a little bit further. What genre? Like, if you had to do it, what would the genre be that would fit it? Like, I almost like. Well, you mentioned Arkham, and I think a Die Hard. I mean, like, I think you could do an
yep.
actiony like a Die Hard thing and use Christmas Eve or Christmas as the theme for it.
I think action and if you go the Hearts route
Okay.
would be the best two for me.
Yeah.
I believe you can make that work with the right characters, the right setting, the right theme. Those two genres in particular, I think those are where you can really maximize on it.
Yeah. The rest I think would be like I think racing, but that's more like environmental, and that'd be like a
Hmm.
mile swinging through the city, like you would be there. But yeah, I mean if you did like a Sifu kind of actiony game and it was a Christmassy thing, I think that would and you're right. I mean like not everybody celebrates Christmas, but also not everybody celebrates like Halloween, and Halloween has that horror element. Maybe people just don't like kindness and giving and stuff, right? Because Halloween, there are games that are very that either take place on it, or like I said, like Costume Quest, you're literally trick-or-treaters. So like that perfectly it is I think my number one like Halloween game. But then you have like the horror games like an Until Dawn and stuff. And Until Dawn does take place in the winter. Not I don't think for Christmas, but it is a ski resort and stuff. So just throwing that in there. But yeah, it's I just feel like you have horror to back up Halloween, so you have like that whole genre, whereas there's nothing to back up Christmas. It's just, trees and the colors and then like the snow. Like what is the thing that connects to Christmas? Like horror connects to Halloween. Nothing really other than like kindness and giving, or like Christmas parties. Like those are like, what I mean. What is the thing that links them? And it's tough.
I, I think it would be snow and decorations. Like when I think of Christmas, it's snow and decorations
Yeah.
for sure. They most games probably wouldn't want to deal with the rights, but Mariah Carey as well.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
So
there's so many Christmas songs that I'm sure cost so much money, and
exactly,
you put one into a game, and I actually
that's
think
half
you
the
would.
budget.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would. Number one, that's the whole budget of the game, and number two, but like that really would make the game, like any of these games we talk about with Christmas elements, but they don't feel all the way like in Arkham Origins. Now I'm not saying put Mariah Carey in Arkham Origins, but
In the Arkham Origins.
you put one Christmas song, like you put a Silent Night in there, you know what I mean? And all
Yep,
of a sudden, it's a Christmas, like it really would feel like a full on Christmas game. Um, yeah, it's tough.
it is. It's hard to nail down, but
And
you
I'm
see
even
it with
thinking like,
movies all
think
the
of the
time
games we
too.
know of that are coming. No Christmas. I can't think
Not
of. There, space is obviously a huge thing, with gaming. Then you have the genres, of course, but you think of like their location or their setting, and even the games that are going into the future, nothing. I really don't. I don't understand it because it's not like even like I was thinking like The Last of Us for some reason. Like we hear the rumors of The Last of Us Part 3. I mean, you could do snow, and they have done snow. It wouldn't really make sense to do Christmas in a post-apocalyptic thing because who would celebrate it? But I don't know. I feel like there's definitely games that you could just throw it in and it would be. But it can't
absolutely.
be too large. I actually think The Last of Us or like an Uncharted, like games that are that big or that long, probably doesn't work. Again, like I think a Die Hard kind of thing. So Sifu, like a 5-6 hours, couple maps, couple locations, but it takes place on Christmas Eve. Or like it'd have to be probably because of it's only one day or 2 days if it's Christmas Eve. The game can't be too big. Like you can't do an open world game for Christmas, you know.
I'm
Unless you do
trying to
something in like
think.
the North Pole, which would be fun.
Yeah,
And
no,
those seem like more kid-like things, but again, like, and I think maybe that's why Club Penguin, because it's just the whole thing just kind of screams, winter season and stuff.
I'm thinking now that like you mentioned Uncharted and
Yeah,
like
I would
I
take an
think
Uncharted
Uncharted. I'm
for
going
Christmas.
in the Captain America and Black Panther trailer. It's been so long since I've seen
Oh
it, but
God, was there
wasn't
snow?
there snow?
I
I
think.
I would I think there was snow there. Like that
If
would be an excellent opportunity to just like
yeah.
toss in a Christmas tree somewhere. So
Agreed.
Reeves, perfect opportunity.
Agreed. And I don't know. I think it's just missed opportunity. It's an entire. So well, some people start it like in like November and stuff, but if you don't, it's like it's a whole month. Like it's just a month of
Mhm.
getting ready for it and stuff. It's 1 out of 12 of the months, and it just gets so overlooked in video games that they talk about representation and trying to get everything to match real life. It's a reflection. It has to be now a reflection of real life. Well, what about gosh darn holidays that happen in real life? They just miss out.
December gets no love in games, but it also
Remember?
gets no love in like news and release dates and everything like
Oh
that
yeah,
either.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like December is the complete dead month.
If
Like
without Jeff
you enjoying
Keighley,
it,
December would be like there are
yeah,
some of the games like the first week of December, but Jeff Keighley I think almost single-handedly kind of as our savior saves it.
carries it on his back.
Yeah, he does. He does. And then kids just go up there and have a speech. Yeah, no, I think it should happen more often. And you're right, like I don't know, it's a whole month that just I think about Persona because Persona takes place over the whole year. And I mean, I love Persona, and I'm trying to remember. Like, you definitely go through December, but I don't think anything really changes. So
Christmas.
even games that are like that, and again, that's where Hogwarts, I think, will not break the trend, but it'll just be a game that does it right. Like any game that is a simulation-like thing, when you go through Christmas time or December, like I would want the game to reflect it. I guess there's Sims. We never talked about Sims. Sims, I guess, would be under the right circumstances with like the seasons DLC where it's like all the seasons. Like that would maybe be the most Christmassy because I imagine. Now I don't remember. Slash, I haven't played the more recent ones with seasons. Have you?
No, I have a friend that always plays Sims. I would have to ask them.
Okay.
They're on it like weekly, but I can attest. Like you brought up Sims, and the first thing I thought was Animal Crossing. As a
Animal
person that has
Crossing, yes.
370 hours, they do every holiday.
Yes.
They change the entire environment. The like your citizens even give you Christmas presents.
Yes.
Though it's a whole thing. So like Animal Crossing would
That's
definitely
a
be
good
one that
one.
definitely gives you one.
And Dreamlight Valley too. They have the
Yep.
Christmas update. My wife was playing it. Christmas tree. I think Merlin is like dressed up as Santa. Like there's a lot of different Christmas elements. Yeah, yeah. Games like that that embrace the seasons are really the only place that you know,
Yeah.
it's those games. It's Sims. It's Dreamlight. It's Animal Crossing, and then it's Miles and Arkham Origins, and then like Kingdom Hearts just coincidentally because they pick the world, so you know what I mean, like that coincidentally does it. But beyond that, like there's no interest in it, which again, game developers don't have the most jolly life, so maybe they don't think of things of like happiness and hope and stuff.
Yeah, it's beat out of them year round.
Yeah, yeah. So they have none
And then
left
when
when
it's
it comes.
time to release, it's even more beat down.
Yep. Yep. Well, that was a good topic, and I want more Christmas games immediately. So starting, we were talking about this before. So starting next week, we're gonna try to do like kind of viewer Q&A. So this is, of course, to anybody still watching at this point in the video, and we'll try to like have Twitter posts and stuff to ask people. But if you ever want to ask us questions or like mini topics that you want us to talk about, leave it in the comments or message it to us or whatever, and we'll try to do that towards like the end of the video. Next few weeks, there's not we can talk about what we've been playing, but there's not going to be any new games or anything to come out. But once January starts, we'll have the Last of Us show even kind of mid-January, and then the games. So should start picking up, and we should have kind of a blend of what we're doing, new stuff that we're experimenting with or playing at the time, and then like topics and stuff and questions. So anything else you wanna say for the episode?
DC is in a
Yeah.
very chaotic
Speaking of
state.
Christmas.
Speaking of Christmas, that was the Christmas gift. I think that might have been cold for a lot of people.
Yeah, we were talking about
um,
this before. What do you think about Mr. Gunn and Henry and all the stuff that's going on there?
um, I said this on Twitter. I'm torn. Because there's Henry is the only complete victim in all of this.
Yeah.
He did absolutely nothing wrong. And he thought that he was coming back, and he was told to put out a video, saying that he was back. And so it kind of makes him look like he just has egg on his face at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the other hand, with all the baggage that the DCEU had, you have a perfect chance to just wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
And if I was in James Gunn's position, I would have done so. I think that all of the bigger backlash was behind them until Black Adam really started to pick up press and The Rock got a microphone.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that James Gunn did the right thing, but at the same time, it's hard not to feel really upset because it's like, don't show me something if you don't plan on letting me have it.
Yeah.
And I think that that was the thing with Henry Cavill, as you stated, like, off air, like it could have been a situation where you kept him and he even wanted to play a different kind of Superman.
Right.
There was a lot of moving parts to the situation, but I believe the right decision was made in the wrong fashion.
Right.
DC also has a part to play in this because you let it get to this point. James Gunn is pretty much doing what he can because it's like he's been transparent ever since he was officially DC CEO. Like right
Right.
from November 1st, I think he's been transparent. So
Yeah.
it's a bad situation for everybody.
Yeah.
There's no winners in any of this. But I look at next year, I see a lot of things on Twitter where they say that, well, what does this mean for the movies for next year? And the way I look at the movies for next year is it's a send off
Yeah. Yeah.
for Shazam, Aquaman, and
See, some of that though
Flash
makes
even.
me like, and I'm not like Shazam 1. I thought was good, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah,
The
same.
Flash, I will never watch The Flash, period, because of Ezra and what they've done with all that. And Aquaman, I will not watch because of Amber Heard. So I'm
Yep.
already so anti. Like I will see Shazam 2, but is that all three of them? So that's 2 out of 3. I would like Blue Beetle.
Two
I
out of
would
three.
watch. So, but like,
Yep.
and then also knowing it's a send off. I would want. I don't care to send Ezra Miller off in any way other than J-Lo.
No, yeah.
You know, like I agree with you. I agree with you that it does like if you're looking at it optimistically and you're saying, well, what is the freaking point of these movies next year? The answer is there's actually
Absolutely.
none. The
None.
optimistic point is, yeah, you get to see it kind of one more time. The issue is there's really not like Shazam 1 really didn't do well at all. I think Black Adam actually did more than it, and Black Adam wasn't a box office success. So Shazam is
Mhm.
really like, a couple million people are gonna see Shazam, and
Yes.
and that's it. And then the Flash, like I have so much to say about the Flash, but
Good luck
that will,
selling that.
yeah, that will be used to restart it. I mean, I assume that is how they're going to do it, but you know. I don't want to see Henry. I don't want Henry Cavill. I would like to see Henry Cavill off. Now is he in the movie?
Yes,
I think
I
he.
from the reports he does have scenes in The Flash. I believe he might actually have scenes in I forget if Aquaman was one. I think Ben
I think
Affleck
Yeah.
for sure has one in The Flash, but I just the whole thing with the DC universe, like specifically with even Ezra Miller, you look at the way that Johnny Depp was handled, and I think that that was more so the case, and I think that I'm more lighter on them because David Zaslav was not responsible for the Johnny Depp situation.
True.
Um, it would be interesting going forward to see if you can try to bring him back
Yeah, that'd be fun.
because uh not necessarily maybe for Harry Potter, but like other
Well, hey, you're
WB
redoing
products.
you're doing all of DC.
DC,
So
yeah.
like, can he be a villain? Can he be a supporting
And
character?
he
Like, I mean,
and there you go.
literally
Like
anything.
there is the door open, and David Zaslav and James Gunn even I want to say as late as 2 months ago, we're having dinners with Christopher Nolan repairing all the burnt bridges that the old regime did with a lot of these directors. So I do believe that you're going to have a case where a lot of these, you have a brighter future for a lot more people to be involved, but it is at the cost of
Yeah, who's already there?
you who's already there.
Yeah.
But I will also echo that just like the comic book industry, you have to think back to when these movies were first released, and you have to look at the numbers that they did in the box office.
Yeah.
These movies did not get a lot of support, and they did not get a lot of money made. And it's one of those things where it's like you do have to support the product
Yeah.
in order to ensure its future. And if I'm David Zaslav or James Gunn, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results.
That's true.
So
That's true.
if I'm going to take over a company and I'm trying to make money for it, the last thing I'm going to do is do the same thing we've been doing.
Yeah.
So I can understand the mindset, but it sucks.
Totally. Yeah. No, and that's what we were saying, before we recorded that it's. And I think there is a good amount of people that echo this. I just think, yeah, like how it's been done, it is easy to like root for Batwoman and root for these different things because it's like, oh man, like sucks for them. Like they're, this new regime's coming in and just destroying it all. But you think about it from the new regime and it's like you just said, like they lose so much money. They have so much debt. Why would you keep doing it? And Disney
Yes.
has this issue. Like everybody has this issue, and they kind of just pretend it doesn't happen while their stocks are in flux and they are losing money, but they're trying to paint like a nice picture, so they don't really care, or they try to make it seem like they don't care. It's the message that's more important versus the money, all this kind of stuff. But in reality, like no, the money actually is the most important, because without the money, you can't do any of it. So at least with Warner Bros., they fully realize and have now said out loud. I'm sure they did realize, but they now have said out loud, like, we can't keep losing money. Like, that's not what a
Yes.
business does. See, they don't consistently
No.
lose money. So we have to change
And
some stuff. And so we get rid of Batwoman, and it's like, fine. And, again, like these situations. Now, like the Henry Cavill stuff, as we said, I don't fully, like, I don't.
that's a completely
Yeah, that
different
one's
thing.
tough
Like
because Henry, I
that's
think,
almost in its own universe there.
yeah.
Like because it's completely
that
different.
that's a creative decision that you either have to trust James Gunn with or you don't. Like that,
Yeah.
what I mean, because that doesn't affect money. I think Henry Cavill is like sellable. He wants to do it. He could do it for 10 more years. It
And
may
he's
look
aging
it may
very
look a little
well.
odd like when he's 49 and playing Superman, but he could maybe pull it off, right? So like, all that stuff is more of like a James Gunn creative thing versus they want to stop the bleeding with money. And that decision, and that's actually like some people were mad at me yesterday because I said when he did the Instagram post, I did on Twitter, and I said, what a god awful decision. And most people agreed, but there were some people saying it's not god awful. And it's like, this is actually the only time I've been negative under this new regime the last few months. This is the only time I've said anything, because in my opinion, this is not part of getting rid of Batwoman. Like, that stuff is for money, which I get. This stuff is a creative decision that's either going to work or not work.
Or not work.
And right now I don't like that decision. And I like James Gunn. I'm not like as much as other people are. I do think he does good, and I mean a lot of the stuff he does. Like, I have more of an appreciation for Guardians the longer we go. I like 1 and 2 a lot. I actually like 2 almost more than 1, which is an odd, opinion. But I do like him, but I don't look at him as like a savior that maybe other people do, which is fine. You could look at him as a savior. Also, him writing Superman, I don't know if he's the right writer. Like,
That
I just
that
don't
one
know.
threw me for a loop. I
Yeah,
do believe that James Gunn, with the experience that he's garnered from being under Kevin Feige,
yeah,
um, and the connections that he has, I believe that I trust him to put the right people in the right positions and the right directors in charge of these movies. That's what I trust him with. Um, as far as him writing a Superman movie, his ability to execute it is where I'm nervous. His knowledge and his fandom of Superman is where I'm confident in him. Um, for years, he's been saying he's a big fan of Superman. If you've watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special,
yes, yes.
I can't be convinced that Marvel didn't, in his contract he had to ask for it. I want everything that I want in order to do this movie. You had a John Cena reference, you had a Batman reference, there was DC references
Margot
all over
Robbie, I
this
think
thing.
Margot Robbie was, as an actress, was in it too as the
Yeah.
icon. Yep.
Yep. So I'm just like, he got everything he wanted out of that deal.
Yeah.
And I think I trust his fandom. I don't know if I can trust his execution with a Superman, like writing the Superman script.
Yeah.
Um, but going forward, it's going to be something that either works or doesn't work. But from a moral standpoint, I think like I would agree with you. Like that was a god awful decision as far as like, even though it's not his fault, the buck obviously stops with David Zaslav, and
Yeah.
bringing Henry Cavill back in the post credit scene of Black Adam would have been a David Zaslav decision, because I think that was shot relatively recently
Yeah.
to the movie coming out. So I think it was just a lot of things on all things. But if you're David Zaslav, it's that thing of, if The Rock is saying a bunch of things, you have to will him in.
Yeah.
You have to. He, as late as last week, he was still saying how it was a horrible idea that
Yeah.
of the last regime to, not bring Henry Cavill back as Superman.
Yeah.
So you got him talking, and you need to get it to stop.
Yeah. I will. I will be honest. Like I've always liked The Rock, and I like
Same.
his charisma, and I think it worked for that little 3 month era that we were in. Like he kind of was the guy. It kind of sucks for him too. Like just all the
Yeah.
I believe in all the work he put in. Like I believe he did put
Same.
in work, and the whole hierarchy of the DC universe is about to change, and it's like Jesus. Like if there Henry is the most affected. If there's anybody the second most affected, it would be The Rock. You can maybe
The
even
Rock.
argue it would be both because he really seemed like he had so many ideas for all these different superheroes and villains and stuff. And he was talking about like a Dr. Fate thing. He was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna see him again."
Yeah.
And it's like you're talking as if you're in charge, which I like. I like that kind of charisma, but you're not, and things can very easily fall apart behind you, and that's exactly what
And that's what that happened.
they did. So
And that's why I would say, like, that's where I put the blame on him. Um, because he was talking as if he was in charge. I
right,
loved what he was saying. I
yeah,
loved the work that he put in. I loved Black Adam. I want to see a Black Adam too.
yeah,
Um, but because of all of that, I think that that makes this blow a lot more harder
yeah,
because it was a lot of promises that he was making
yeah,
that we will never get to see in fruition.
right,
Now the good news is that James Gunn and Henry did talk about future roles, and he already
yes.
has an idea for like characters for them. So that is a silver lining, but to never see like a comic book accurate Superman movie with Henry Cavill is heartbreaking.
It's hard. It's
That's
hard.
tragic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's even with like Jason Momoa, switching of like if they were to I guess take all these actors and just swap them into other roles, it would be weird, but it would also be a cool way of keeping them around. Like if Gal Gadot fits in, and she's just see the thing with her and Wonder Woman is just they
First
are
Wonder
not.
Woman.
Yeah, they're not really talked about. I almost get the sense they really do want for some reason she would be the one to actually get another movie. It's just Patty Jenkins and that whole issue. So I don't know, but then those were like the rumors, and then Patty Jenkins came out and basically said like there was no talk, like there is no talk of anything in the future. So I don't know, but I will say this: the J.J. Abrams stuff, which we talked about, and we'll just say just a little, like I'm not a fan of any of that stuff that's going on.
Same.
That doesn't make me feel confident about James Gunn. Also, if you
Mhm.
keep Ezra Miller around or Amber Heard in any role going forward after these movies, I am just as done with them as I am now, which is
Yes.
fully. So we was just saying like I'm not going to see the Flash. I'm not going to see Aquaman. If you come out and say that you had a dinner with Ezra and just like Henry, you're trying to find a role for Henry. If you say you're doing that with Ezra Miller, I'm done. I'm finished. So
That's what should
I
be
mean,
finished
it's extreme, but
100%.
I will go all the way with that.
I do know that they did make a statement that he's done
Oh, good.
after the Flash.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's done after the Flash. So that's his last contribution. Amber Heard is a little bit scary, but I believe that after that trial and seeing like what's become of her career afterwards,
yeah,
she's finished in Hollywood anyway. So like there's
yeah,
there's that. Johnny Depp is getting offers to do certain things. So
yeah.
I'm a lot and Pirates might be back on the table for him. So that's hopefully that's back on
Agreed.
the table for him. And I think on that end it's looking up, but there are a lot of questionable things that still have to be ironed out and answered. Because like you said, J.J. Abrams, I it almost goes into the effect of the Snyderverse fans who there's two types of Snyderverse fans. There are the normal calm ones who love it,
Yeah,
and then there are the ones that people genuinely talk about as Snyderverse fans where they don't support anything.
yeah.
And had you supported Black Adam, you would have had a better shot at the Snyderverse probably than not supporting it.
Right.
But with that comes is if you make that J.J. Abrams movie, that means that that Superman is taking place elsewhere.
Yeah.
You already got Robert Pattinson's Batman, which James Gunn doubled down is not going to be in the DCU.
Which is the right move.
So that's right. That's the 100% correct move. So if you're going to have two Elseworld stories, that only makes the argument for the Snyderverse living on even stronger.
Right.
Because if you're going to make a J.J. Abrams movie that practically no one wants,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
why can't we get the crap that we do want? You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
that that doesn't necessarily work in your favor at all.
True.
And so and then you got the Joker movie out there as well.
Yes.
So that's also Elseworlds. So it's kind of like I like what you're doing, but at the same time, you're kind of shooting
It
yourself in the
still
foot
does
here.
feel like, yeah, it feels like you're still trying to do both things, but you're being very
Yeah,
select. Again, it's more creative decision making. We will do both things. They don't have to all live in the same universe, but it's going to be the creative decisions that I think is right. And I don't know. So far,
what happens to Peacemaker?
doesn't it have his wife in it? Like, there's no way he'll touch that
Yeah,
because he puts his wife in everything and all that stuff. So I really actually don't think Peacemaker. I think Peacemaker will stay somehow, and I think Margot Robbie stays too as Harley.
I think she should stay.
Yeah,
I think she should. I think
she's the youngest. She's like 32. She's the youngest of all. If you look at like the Justice League members, she's the youngest by a lot, and I think he really likes her. And I
yeah.
don't know, just that connection that they have. He always talks about her. He's worked with her multiple times. So yeah, I don't think those things change at all. But again,
No,
I mean
yeah.
that kind of then you
Do
say,
they
well, okay, now
reboot them though?
you're picking favorites. Well, our favorite's
Yeah,
Henry, so then you go into
yeah.
that stuff. So yeah, you're right. It's tough.
I mean, even then, if you want to give us Henry, like, I mean, this sucks for Tyler Hoechlin, but if you wanted to give Henry his Superman show,
Yeah.
and if you wanted to kind of keep that universe going in like a kind of how like they do for Titans
Yes.
and Doom Patrol and how that's in its own pocket universe,
Yeah.
if you just wanted to make like a light version of the Snyderverse's own pocket universe and give Henry Cavill a Superman show and get rid of the Tyler Hoechlin one, which would suck.
Yeah.
That would I would be okay with that. I think a lot of people that would be a nice give and take.
Yeah.
And you won't have any controversy about keeping Peacemaker
Right.
around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing Henry Cavill as James Bond because that's like the only thing that's
yes,
left for him at this point. And like we said, like I don't think the Witcher thing. I think he leaves. We both said this before. I think he leaves the Witcher no matter what.
no
I'm not
matter
really
what.
the whole. Oh, he leaves Witcher to do Superman, and now he lost out on both. He'll go back begging. I think he is fully out, and he wouldn't want to go back to Witcher. And I'd stand, and
No,
I really hope that's the case because I want that to be the case because I would respect that he because I think the rumors he made like $1 million per episode. That was his salary, which is nuts. But at the end of the day, he's a fan. Like that's why he's so good as Geralt. That's why you want to do it. He cares, and so when they don't
yeah.
care, he's like, "Well, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore." And I very much respect that. So I hope that is what actually happened.
What's fascinating about that too is that people right after they announced that he left, people were pulling up like interviews,
Yes.
multiple of them
Yeah, the
over the
signs were
past few
there. The
years of
signs were
him
there.
talking about just the writing,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, yeah, I don't think Superman at all had any weight. I think Superman was the icing on the cake that said, "You see this over here? I'm going over here. I
Yeah.
don't need you. I didn't need you regardless, but
Yeah.
I don't need you for sure now." I
Right.
think that that's what Superman was, but he didn't leave to do Superman. He
Right.
left because he was unhappy.
Right. Totally. Agreed. Well, that was fun. 2-topic episode right there. Well, let us
There
know
you
what
go.
you guys think in the comments. I will always put Sway's Twitter in the description as well. So if if you don't know who he is, but you will be very familiar with him as these episodes go on. But if you want to follow him on Twitter, the link's in the description. We're going to keep these episodes rolling. If we keep going and we do it, which we're planning on it, just doing it weekly, the next two would be Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. So,
Yep.
we'll do some sort of like end of the year kind of wrap up stuff. But again, topics and things that you want us to talk about, are more than welcome as well. So, yeah, anything you want to say to the people at home?
Thank you for everybody that tuned in for the first episode. We got a lot of great compliments on
Yeah, a
those,
lot of people
and
liked it.
I really appreciate that. I'm new to this whole format, so you guys just loving the first episode really that really felt good. So thank you for everybody that supports it. Thanks for everybody who supports Alex. Once again, love you all. Thank you for watching.
There you go. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you all on the next one.